danger. We are flooding, taking on water in our rudder room. We are flooding by the stern, okay? Ranger, this is Conflict Kodiak. Roger, good copy on position. Understand you are flooding, taking on water in the stern. Request to know number of persons on board, over. Number of persons is 47 people on board, okay?
It was 2:52 on Easter morning when the Coast Guard picked up the Mayday call from the Alaska Ranger. The fishing trawler was taking on water 120 miles out of the port of Dutch Harbor in Alaska's Aleutian Islands. During the dangerous winter fishing season, the Coast Guard keeps a helicopter rescue team on standby on St. Paul Island, north of the Aleutians. A 4-man crew on St. Paul that morning, pilot Steve Bond, co-pilot Brian McLaughlin, flight mechanic Robert DeBolt, and rescue swimmer O'Brien Hollow would be the first to answer the call.
Once the information came in, we were all out the door and headed to the hangar at St. Paul, into the aircraft, airborne, and en route to the search and rescue case.
An hour later, the Jayhawk helicopter team reached the scene and saw what looked like a poorly lit runway. The strobe lights of more than 24 people were spread out over a mile-long stretch of breaking 20-foot waves.
I did not expect to see what we saw. Many survivors stretched out over a great distance. I expected survivors in the raft, and I expected survivors linked up, arm to arm, and just in a fairly tight group. It's not what we came up on. So you just roll with it.
The helicopter hovered over the first survivor, and Hollow was dropped on a line into the water. As flight mechanic DeBolt controlled the hoist from above, the rescue swimmer helped the hypothermic fishermen into a metal rescue basket one by one. In the next 50 minutes, the team would pull a dozen men from the freezing waves.
It's just clockwork. He watches me, I watch the cable. Once I've got a survivor in the basket, I give him the thumbs up. I'm just holding on to the basket to make sure it goes plumb, but he's making all the judgment calls.
The helo was full, but for the Jayhawk team, the mission was just beginning. Soon, they were hovering over the Coast Guard cutter Monroe, lowering their survivors down to deck. By that time, the smaller Dolphin helicopter had arrived at the rescue scene. Still, the Jayhawk team knew there were more people in the water than the Dolphin could pick up. Every minute could be a matter of life or death.
There were so many people that they could physically not be fit into the helicopter all at one time, so we knew we were going to have to leave. But the hard part with that, we knew that leaving these people in the water for like any minutes longer would greatly lower their chances of surviving.
The Jayhawk would rescue 4 more people on its return trip to the scene. In all, the 2 helicopters successfully recovered 20 fishermen. The 22 people who made it into the life rafts were picked up by a sister fishing vessel.
We flew 8.5 hours nonstop for this, which is a lot of flying in a helicopter. It's very rare that you fly that much, but the other kind of unique portion that was involved with this is that we flew that without landing at all. So luckily the Coast Guard cutter Monroe was there, and we wound up doing an aerial refueling off the cutter twice just to be able to go back and pick up more survivors.
The rescue would be among the largest and most complex in Coast Guard history.
I've been involved in ones where, as a whole, we've picked up more people, but this is the largest in terms of complexity with the number of people that were actually in the water floating.
Despite the Coast Guard's heroic efforts, 5 men succumbed to the freezing Bering Sea, among them the ship's captain and first mate, who were the last to abandon the sinking ship. Even after a multi-day search, the body of another crewman was never found.